Jeff Nadu, BMOC, BarstoolSports.com, joins us each Tuesday to look at some of the things that are happening out there. You know, there's only football really going on right now. There's no other sports to kind of get involved in. So you got football Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All the days of the week, there's football.
It's not a bad thing.
You tired of it yet?
No, I'm not tired of it.
Hoops?
Yes, I do.
We got college hoops coming up. I know BMOC's all over that. We got plenty to dive into right now with Jeff Nadu from Barstool Sports. A little MACtion tonight, Jeff. What's up, man?
How are you, Mike? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you back. We got the live football. They split it up now, right? They got like 3 MAC games tonight, 3 tomorrow. Is that what they're doing?
Correct. You got a couple tonight, you got a couple tomorrow. So basically we have, football all week now.
I like it. So I know you took, by the way, check out Jeff's. He got a big deep dive mailbag on college basketball, which is kind of one of his bread and butter. So check that out as well at barstoolsports.com. Let's look at the action for tonight. I mean, obviously people love to get into these games. You got Akron and Ohio. We got a chance to see these teams a week ago, so I'm interested to see if any of the 3 games tonight, Kent State, Bowling Green, and the third one is Miami of Ohio, Buffalo. If any of these 3 games tonight kind of stand out to you.
Yeah, I definitely like Ohio laying a big number against Akron. Akron is horrible, Mike. They're a terrible football team. Keep in mind, last year this group was winless. They did not have a win. They were 1-11 against the number. They lost 4 of their 8 MAC games by 28 or more, 7 of the 8 MAC games by 21 or more. This is a bad football team. Mike, you look at the game last year these two teams played. It was the last game of the season. Ohio 52-3. They outgained Akron 603-74. Yes, 74 yards is all Akron managed in the game. That's fascinating how bad they were in that game. They only had 7 first downs. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not sure Akron's much better this year. You look at the first game against Western Michigan, they got absolutely destroyed. They give up a lot of big passing plays, almost 6 yards a carry and 500 yards. Offensively, they're working with a backup quarterback, backup running backs. They're just not very good. And I got to tell you, Mike, I went back and watched the Ohio Central Michigan game. Ohio actually played quite well offensively. It was just some turnovers and bad spots in the second half that I figure they'll turn and figure out here. They're not playing a team that I think is really going to threaten them much offensively. And I thought they actually played pretty well in the defensive end, given who they played. From a passing standpoint, defensively, they only gave up about 6 yards an attempt, and quarterback for Central Michigan struggled to throw the football. So I think given the opponent this week, you have to figure a step-up's in order here. I had this one at 48-10. I'm laying the points at Ohio.
Yeah, it opened up minus 22. It's up to 27.5. So I feel like a lot of people are listening to you. And just when does that number get too high?
Well, keep in mind, Mike, 22.5 disappeared like a minute after it came out. So the widely available number was like 24.5, 25. But I'm not that worried about this number just because of you're kind of in that dead zone, 25, 26. The likelihood that there's a score involving that number are low. I just kind of wanted to stay under 27.5, 28. I think anything under 28 is fine here. I will say, though, you got to wonder, how many points can Akron score? I just don't know they're going to score much. I figure Ohio can push 45 or 50 here. So, it kind of comes across as like 51-13, 51-10, 48-10, something like that. So, if you want to sell a half a point and get to 28 and get a better juice price, that's fine. But I would kind of keep it under 28.5 if I can.
Over under 59.5 across most places. You got Kent State, Bowling Green. It's up to 20.5, and Buffalo, who's a good team, up against Miami of Ohio, who's a pretty good team. So that one should be a good one. That one is 7.5, 7.5. They're the other 2 games that you got tonight, and then you roll into tomorrow's card, which you have 3 more MAC games for you. Now, if you want to comment on one of the other 2, but Eastern Michigan, Ball State, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Toledo, Western Michigan. That's your MAC card tomorrow. What stands out?
Yeah, I'll continue to kind of look towards Central Michigan a little bit. I've been I'm pretty happy with this team. I think you got to remember last week they won that game with a backup quarterback. Their quarterback is actually still suspended. There's a question of when he'll be back. But even with Richardson at quarterback, I thought they looked pretty good. I think they're better defensively than what they showed. And the thing about Northern Illinois, they're just not a team that's generally going to offer much offensively. They actually played quite well last week. But I'm going to look more a little bit at this game. I think we could see a game that probably gets into the 60s as opposed to 57.5. I think we're still kind of acting like Northern Illinois is a team from 3 or 4 years ago where they just don't score much. Last week was a high-scoring game. I think Central Michigan will be able to offer something offensively. I'll look at that game. Maybe look at Ball State bouncing back here. But I got to tell you, I don't love that number. That could be a decent teaser game with Ball State. Get them under 3 to 2.5. Maybe you want to involve Buffalo if you like them tonight or something like that. But all in all, right now, I'm focused on this Akron, Ohio game and getting that one across the finish line.
Okay, now that's your MAC stuff tonight and tomorrow. Jeff Nadu, Barstool Sports, is with us looking at some of these early lines. You got one Thursday play and then 3 on Friday. Now, the Friday card's decent. I think there's some games that you'll probably like, especially with an East Carolina, Cincinnati in there. Big number, 27.5. Minnesota, Iowa, that's a 3.5 game. Even an interesting one with Boise State playing. That's a 2-touchdown spread against Colorado State on Thursday. And then that Florida Atlantic FIU game, which is just over a touchdown. So I think there's a couple interesting plays deeper in the week.
Yeah, Boise State, they were embarrassed Saturday or Friday night. That was ugly. Goes to show you how good Brigham Young is. But you'd have to figure Boise State bounces back here, whether it's Jack Sears or Hank Buckmeyer or really anyone. They have plenty of quarterbacks in that roster. So you definitely want to see who's playing quarterback for Boise in that game. East Carolina, Cincinnati, it's been kind of a weird season. I don't know, Mike, if you saw it last week, but East Carolina, the beat on that over was one of the worst I've had. East Carolina had 3rd and 1 at the 2-yard line with about a minute to go. They run 2 really low percentage passing plays, and I literally lose on the 2-yard line because East Carolina can't score. It was just an ugly, ugly game. The coaching at East Carolina has been horrific this season. I actually do a radio call like yours with East Carolina Radio, and I've been giving it to Mike Houston for a week or two now. The play calling's just been terrible. Now they come up against a Cincinnati team that's just licking their chops to face ECU here. ECU, I think, is done. I just don't think, after losing to Tulsa and getting just destroyed last week against a bad team, this is a tough spot to go on the road on a Friday night to a tough atmosphere against one of the best defenses in the country. I think they eat Holt Nailers up here. I'll probably look to lay the line here. This comes across to me as like, I think this would be the game that I thought the Tulsa game would be, maybe, 45-7, 45-10, something like that.
All right. I know Jeff is back on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We go through his thoughts on the Saturday card, some NFL things. But before we do that, the reason we bring Jeff on Tuesday is in case there's any lines that get out early that you think might kind of go crazy. So have you looked at anything Saturday? I know sometimes you usually put in something early in the week. Is there anything from the Saturday card that you've put in early and locked in?
Yeah, I'm actually about to move on something now. Arkansas State, UL Monroe, over 66.5. I told myself if this was under 72, I'd be on board. It's actually coming in lower than that. Obviously want to check out the weather in Jonesboro, but if we get good weather here, I will be looking over the total. If you look at last week's game for UL Monroe, they finally opened up their offense against Georgia State. As we know, at Georgia State, they don't play any defense. And as we know about Arkansas State, they don't play any defense either. I don't think UL Monroe will have any trouble moving the ball again. They're a bad football team, but I think if they can get to 30 here, this game's going to fly over the number. Last week's game with UL Monroe was, I think, 52-34 or something like that, 54-31. I think UL Monroe can get into the 30s here. They throw like top 10 in the country in passing play percentage. Arkansas State has a big-time passing offense as well. When you look at both these teams, they're both top 10 in passing play percentage. They're high play probability teams. There's going to be a lot of big play touchdowns. There's going to be a ton of running the ball. I am blown away. This total is where it is. I will be all over it. bookmakers are looking at this and saying that, UL Monroe, outside of the last game they played, really hadn't gotten above that 14-point mark. We need to realize Arkansas State is not a good defensive team, and they're not going to do anything better here. I think this is a game that could be wild, 52-31, 54-27, something like that.
I look forward to Saturday to get more thoughts on some of these games. I'm really interested in thoughts on a couple of them. Before we roll, I know college basketball is on the way. I mean, let me ask you, you're a big college basketball. The blog's up at barstoolsports.com. People send mailbag questions in. You're seeing all these conferences are doing different things. I mean, do we think we're going to see college basketball as we know it, or is this year going to be completely off the beaten path?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be kind of the wait-and-see approach. Most of these teams and conferences have done a nice job preparing for it. But the good thing about college basketball is you can do more bubble situations. There's not as many people involved. You look at a college basketball team, like let's say Temple University. There's 10 players. There's 5 or 6 coaches. There's about 20 people that you need on game day, as opposed to football where there's 100 players plus everyone else. So, and there's 2 teams. So I think it's a little different. It's obviously going to be something where info is going to be key. There's going to be ups and downs, but you're not going to see fans, I think, initially. But obviously we've got some great news on a vaccine possibility here coming up, and testing just gets better and better, Mike. And that's the key. You look at basketball programs, they're getting tested often. So you're going to be able to kind of contract trace and get those players out. So is it going to be like we're used to? No, but to think it's going to be totally different. Mike, let me ask you, have you noticed much of a difference with college football this year?
Not necessarily. I mean, there has been. I mean, you got a lot of cancellations that you haven't seen in the NFL.
But as far as like the actual game itself, there's been it doesn't look very different. So I think they'll do a good job with there's no fans, with music inside the arenas. And I remember the day that the season was paused. There was a game in motion, and there wasn't a ton of people there. You got to realize, Mike, most of these conferences outside of the G5 and the P5, there's not a ton of fans to begin with at these games. So I think we'll be just fine. More teams this year, so it's going to be fun. I'm inundated. I've got some podcasts coming out. I'm very excited about everything.
And we're excited, too. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, we're back with a deep dive on the college football card and a couple NFL thoughts. And, of course, follow Jeff at Jeff Nadu, Nadu, big man on campus over at BarstoolSports.com. Read his blog, watch the videos, and be safe out there, everybody. Make that money and do it responsibly, as Jeff and I will be back on Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, with a little cup of coffee. Jeff, thanks, pal.
Mike, you got time for a quick NFL pick, or are we up against it?
No, go for it, man. You got something already early. Let's get it.
Yeah, I got something I'm looking at. Green Bay against Jacksonville. If you followed Aaron Rodgers in his career, his home numbers are incredible. You look at as a quarterback at home in his career, 55-31-3 against the spread, 64%, 24% return on investment. That's as good as it gets. I hate long-term trends, but that one is bettable. Jacksonville sucks defensively. I don't buy Jake Luton. Aaron Rodgers in this offense is as good as it gets. I'll be all over Green Bay. I would bet it now. I don't think it's going to stay where it is. I don't lay a lot of double-digit numbers, but I think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers win big this week.
And that's why we do this. Get on it now before that number starts to move. All right, Jeff Nadu's back Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, right here with me on the Sports Bash Best of Edition. Thanks, pal.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks.
As always, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. I like how he said, I got one. No, you want me to go? No, let's make some money, man. Let's make some money for the people out there. Green Bay, get on it.